Hi, my name is Elena Roby, and I've been working with the Los Angeles Food Policy Council, a nonprofit based in Los Angeles. Their work spans across the whole LA region, and they act as a cornerstone for a system of organizations working in food access. So, their mission statement is the Los Angeles Food Policy Council works to ensure that food is healthy, affordable, fair, and sustainable for all. And they actually use a collective impact model, meaning that they work in collaboration with other nonprofits in the community, as well as local businesses and government agencies that make up LA's food system. And they essentially work as community organizers, bringing people together to develop policy and initiatives. And their target population is anyone working within the food system to increase access to high quality food by giving people the agency to purchase their own food. And their largest program is their Healthy Neighborhood Market program, which empowers neighborhood markets to become healthy food retailers, assisting them in the transformation of their stores. And the goal is that through this program, everyone can have access to produce within half a mile of their residence. And the LA Food Policy Council also has working groups, networking opportunities, trainings, leadership development events that bring community members together to collaborate across different sectors within the food ecosystem of Los Angeles, developing policy and strategies. And so my capstone journey began when I took the food justice class at Marlborough last year. And I became particularly interested in food waste and wanted to explore the role of public policy in dictating our food systems. And the executive director of the LA Food Policy Council, Christine Tran, actually came to speak to our class, and I immediately wanted to learn more about how they use policy to affect lasting change when it comes to food access. Because when we think of improving access to food, we usually think of food pantries or soup kitchens, but I wanted to explore policy solutions. So over the summer and during the first semester, I volunteered with one of their partner organizations called Food Forward, and they work to prevent food waste by rescuing surplus produce and connecting this abundance with people who are experiencing food insecurity. And so I volunteered weekly at Food Forward, gleaning produce at farmers markets both in Hollywood and Mar Vista, um, to be donated to organizations that then distribute the food to those who need it. And I've continued to glean a couple times a month because I enjoy it so much and enjoy the people there. Um, and it's been really interesting actually to see the amount and also the type of produce change throughout the year based on what's in season. And something else that I hadn't really thought about until I began volunteering there is when sorting the produce to go to different organizations, it's really important to think about giving them the types of produce and the quantity of produce that they can handle. So, for example, making sure that prepackaged salad kits go to food pantries where people can pick them up individually, um, or, for example, not giving a soup kitchen a ton of oranges that they wouldn't have any use for. And so, in terms of my work with the LA Food Policy Council, it began in the fall semester under the mentorship of Taylor Clark, who works on several projects with the LAFPC. Um, and my first impression of the organization was that it definitely involved less hands on work than the average nonprofit that you might volunteer with because of their collective impact model, which focuses more on organizing people. And any hesitation that I ever had about this partnership was just whether or not my work as an amateur researcher was really going to be helpful for them. Um, but throughout the year, I've had weekly check-ins with Taylor where we create a work schedule for me. And the first semester was a lot of searching for resources, collecting some data around food access, and also desperately trying to understand data maps, such as the ones you can see on the screen. But I also got to sit in on meetings and go to an event hosted by the LA Food Policy Council about financing nonprofits, and where I learned about a lot about the logistics of running a nonprofit, which many people forget is actually still a business that relies on income. And a project that I have been working on or helping with recently um, is a report that Taylor is working on, which is a report on the state of urban agriculture in Los Angeles. And the goal of this report is to connect organizations in a network and give them the resources that they need to grow and further develop their work as urban farmers. And so my work within this has been to transcribe several interviews with urban farms across LA, which the LA Food Policy Council will be using to hear from people who are on the ground about what they need instead of just assuming. And I've been so inspired by the work of all of these farmers, who all have very distinct models. Um, but something I noticed that all of the farms focused on was they all stressed the importance of building strong communities built on dignity. So, for example, Alma Backyard Farms offers employment opportunities for those who are recently out of incarceration. And I just sat there listening to the stories of how these farms came to be and where they are now. And it made me so hopeful and excited about this kind of work. And another example is Moonwater Farm in Compton. They originally intended to be a farm that would just sell produce for profit, but after listening to and working with the local community, it has now become a learning hub and a shared community space where there's farm animals to pet, programs for children, cooking classes for adults, and a bunch of other community events. Um, and hearing these stories actually made me start to seriously consider whether I wanted to work in agriculture at some point. So maybe I'll be exploring that in college. Um, but I'm really glad I had this opportunity because it really brought everything sort of full circle, being able to hear about the work of urban farmers and just the importance of community building to any nonprofit's work, including an urban farm. Um, okay. So, to my capstone project, uh, it's been developing over the course of the whole year and actually began in the first semester with me collecting resources to be used for a database that would be sort of central location where LAFPC staff and their partner organizations could sort of pull data from data points, reports, when writing grant or project proposals. And so then during the second semester, I began working with honors computer science students, Chesney and Wyeth, about how to make my database, which was originally a Google spreadsheet, into a website that would be easier to navigate. And so I collected the initial sets of data and then handed the project off to Wyeth, who then translated my work into this website, which you can see the photo of on the screen, with all these search filters to make it um, easier to use. Um, this website has links, descriptions of each of the resources, and there's over 60 sources, including data maps, tables, reports, all related to food access in Los Angeles. And I've also been working with Chesney on a map that shows grocery stores, corner stores, and farmers market locations across LA. And while I was researching and exploring existing data maps, I identified a gap in the maps of food retailer locations. So I then proposed my idea to Taylor and Miss Wright of creating a map of grocery stores, liquor and corner stores, and farmers markets, all like updated and clearly shown on like one single map, to really just visualize and compare food access across different areas of Los Angeles. And so the map is designed to support the work of the LA Food Policy Council in identifying areas of heightened need, but also potentially for the public to locate food retailers across the city. So Chesney coded this map with like precise location coordinates, and I don't even know what coding language was needed to make this, but I want to thank both Chesney and Wyeth for their countless hours making these two projects come to life, actually happen. And so this project supports the mission of the LA Food Policy Council by hopefully making the process of grant and policy proposal writing simpler, and also providing them with this sort of basic system framework to organize their resources in the future. And hopefully this will be shared with their partners to help them also carry out their individual missions. And also something that's interesting is by me partnering with the honors computer science students, it sort of parallels the way that the LA Food Policy Council works in collaboration with their partners, with other nonprofits. Um, and so the database and the map are sustainable because they can be easily updated and edited as more resources are collected, or if the map needs to be updated as more food retail locations pop up. But Chesney and Wyeth have set up an email so that if anyone wants to make suggestions, edits, or additions to the website, that can easily be done. And so this capstone project is really evidence of the power of working collaboratively across disciplines to have a more meaningful impact and, in this case, hopefully better serve the needs of the LA Food Policy Council. So I've had a mentor throughout this whole process who I've already mentioned, Taylor Clark, and she has given me such great insight into the everyday runnings of a nonprofit and has been so generous with her time and welcoming me to the organization. And she's invited me to come to events and meetings with other staff members, and I've just really enjoyed hearing from her about her experience working at this nonprofit, but also working on an urban farm in Chicago, and she's really taught me a lot about the ways that agriculture can transform communities by both providing jobs and, of course, access to fresh produce. So to sort of wrap things up, a theme that I've noticed throughout this whole process that has really stuck with me is the idea of never assuming what a community needs or what a community wants. And so by asking the community what they would like to see and getting their feedback, the nonprofit can really truly serve the community in a genuine way. I also learned a lot about the public policy world, which I had no idea about, and how there's actually a gap between policymakers often and the work that nonprofits are doing, meaning that policy can sometimes end up actually limiting the work of, say, an urban farmer due to zoning issues or other bureaucratic issues. But this project has really solidified for me my interest in exploring public policy in the future, because at the end of the day, a lot of the work of nonprofits or any other social justice organizations, movements is really determined by local policy. But getting to hear firsthand the experiences of those working at nonprofits, hearing the stories of how they got started, the everyday challenges, the logistics of running a nonprofit, this is all insight that I really could never have gained in a classroom or through any other experience. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity, and I'm excited to continue to engage with similar opportunities in my future, working alongside nonprofits, conducting research, connecting with community members, and studying policy. So yeah, I've met some really lovely people, listen to such inspiring and energizing stories, and yeah, gained a great foundation for work that I hope to continue to be a part of. And here's some of the contact information for the LA Food Policy Council if you want to learn more. So again, I just want to thank Taylor, Chesney, and Wyeth, and all the other people at the LA Food Policy Council who took the time to give feedback on this project or just chat with me. And I also want to express my gratitude to Ms. Wright for her guidance, support, and mentorship throughout this entire process. And thank you all for listening. I hope you feel as inspired as I do by the work of the LA Food Policy Council and their partners. So thank you.